Hey guys, welcome back to another deck profile video, and today I will be talking about Trickstar. It's one of the deck that I formed for quite some time, but you don't see it much in my replay video because I don't enjoy playing it as much as the other decks such as Sky Striker, Numerons, and my main deck Penmodern Magician. So how this Trickstar deck work is you mainly focus on this card called Trickstar Holy Angel, and you keep summoning to its pointer to burn 200 damage to your opponent. 200 don't sound like it's a lot, but it's combo with a few other cards that makes it actually a lot more. So the main purpose of this deck is just to burn, so there's like different ways to burn your opponent. So for example, Reincarnation itself is every time opponents draw a card, you deal 200 damage to them. Kanina itself is when they activate a spell or trap, you inflict 200 damage to them. And then there's Narcissus, it burns you 200 every time they activate a effect from their hand or graveyard. And then there's a link monster which is called Divaridis, that every time we normal or special summon monster, your opponent normal or special summon monster, you burn 200 to it. And then there's like other Trickstar card that actually has other sorts of burning effect. So it's something that you can explore, but this is my main deck. So this deck can run a few hand traps because to be honest, you don't need a lot of stuff to play this deck. And the build that I'm currently showing is more of the burn build, and there's actually more competitive build whereby it goes a bit more control. So if you're interested in Trickstar, I think you should definitely check that out. But for me, I'm playing this more of, for the fun of it, so I focus more on the burn build. So how as usual, you need some hand traps, like so Maxi and Ash Blossom is always at 3. And then I play Effect Veiler because it's just another hand trap. Then Duel and Lock, I play 3 of them. Mainly why Trickstar play Duel and Lock is because of this card they have called Trickstar Reincarnation. So this card banish your opponent's entire hand, and then they draw back the same number of cards. So if let's say you have this card set onto your field, when you after you activate this as chain 1, if you chain 2 on top of Duel and Lock, your opponent will banish their hand, and then they can't draw because of Duel and Lock's effect. They cannot draw cards. They cannot have additional drawing power. Yeah. So this actually stops your. This basically just banish your whole opponent's hand, and then they will continue with no cards in their hand. Yeah. Which is pretty sick. But yeah, this card itself can be Ash Blossom because it has a draw effect. So just take note of that when you play this deck. And then Lilybell, even though that there's no burn power for Lilybell, but it's a good card that if you add it to your hand via another effect, it actually just special summon it out. And if let's say this card attacks and deal damage to your opponent, you can actually take back one Trickstar card from your graveyard. Yep. So this card sort of combo a bit with Lycoris, because in order for Lycoris to come out, you actually have to return one Trickstar monster you control. So if let's say you normal summon a Lilybell, and then you use Lycoris effect to return Lilybell back to your hand, and because it adds back to your hand via a Trickstar effect, so you can special summon it out again. Yeah. So this card and this card can direct attack. So basically you can attack it twice with this card. Yeah, pretty useful, I would say. Then Kanina is your main searcher. You really want to start with this card because this card will actually search for your field card, and then your field card will search back one of your Trickstar card. Yeah. So Kanina is one of the cards that you will want. Then Narcissus is just something that I add in so that I get another special summon, because like what I mentioned just now, Holy Angel requires to keep special summoning to the pointer for it to deal damage. And then there's a Carol Bane here, which acts as like an honors card. It actually just doubles the attack of your Trickstar monsters by discarding it from your hand to your to the opponent to your graveyard. Or itself, it can just jump out by special summoning it itself. So again, by special summoning, you can actually trigger Trickstar Holy Angel effect. Yeah. So I was at 3 Pot of Desire because to be honest, you don't really depend on any one card to win a game. So Pot of Desire by drawing 2 is a really good card for this deck. And then Trickstar Festival, one of the newer addition to Trickstar card, you summon out 2 token, and this card itself in the graveyard can actually negate a destruction of your Trickstar Link monster. So usually this card you summon out Divaridis if you're going first, so that every time your opponent normal or special summon 200 is actually not, they actually did take damage lah. Yeah. Then there's Trickstar Light Stage. This is the main card to me, but sadly it's limited to 1, so you can only play 1 of them. And when this card activates, you add a Trickstar monster from your deck to your hand, and every time if let's say a Trickstar monster deal effect or better damage to your opponent, this card will do 200 damage to them in addition. So if you think about it, with Lycoris that deals 200, your Light Stage will do another 200 to them, so it's actually like 400 damage per card draw. Yeah, then because it's limited to 1 and I play Terraforming, I play this card called Trickstar Life Stage, which helps to special summon 2 tokens. So one of them is as long as you control a Link monster, you can special summon 1. And another, if your opponent control a set card, a card in their spell zone, no need to be set, you can special 1 more. So actually it's 2 special summon, which helps in your Holy Angel effects. Yeah. So if you think about it, like 200 burn here, 200 from Light Stage don't sound like a lot, but I play this card called Dark Room of Nightmare. This card you can actually get it from your Legacy pack, so if you really don't want to craft this SR card, just keep opening your Legacy pack until you get it. Yeah. So each time your opponent takes damage from a card effect, this card burns 300 more. So how this card works is, if let's say you got Lycoris on the field, and then you have Light Stage on the field, this card will burn 200, and because Trickstar effect burns 200, your Light Stage will burn 200 as well. So there's 2 times 200, and then Dark Room itself will trigger based on the number of burn effects you have. So according to this, it's actually 200 from Lycoris and 200 from Light Stage. So Dark Room will trigger twice, which is like an additional 300, which is 1000, which is damn a lot just for 1 card draw. This means that as long as opponent adds like maybe 8 card draws to their hand, and they will take like 8000 damage already. So it's pretty sick, I would say. And if you have multiple copies of this on your field, and it will burn even more. Yeah. And as for the rest are just like standard removers and stuff, hoping to survive the turn. Yeah. And the rest of for extra deck, your main card is just Holy Angel, and then your Divaridis. The rest of your Trickstar is mainly just to get Link out to burn your opponent damage. So like Foxglove, when you summon out, you burn 200 for each card they control. And I think there's Bella Madonna, burn 200 for each Trickstar in your graveyard. So to me, this is the last card that you want to Link out so that it burns the most. Yeah. I play 1 Trickstar Bloom, but I feel I should have played 2, because there's this scenario where I needed 2 but I only have 1, but I still won a game. Yeah. So basically this is how the deck works, and I think I spent too much time explaining the deck, so let's jump in right into a replay that I have recently. Yeah. It's really not I would say not a competitive deck, at least this variant that I play, but it's just a very, very fun deck that I think if you are sick of all the competitive stuff, you should try and play something different lah. Yeah. I won't go much into his deck. He's playing an Unchained deck, which specializes in destroying itself, so let me just skip forward that part. My hand is actually not so bad. I play Draw and Lock, although it doesn't really help much since all he does is like special summoning out onto the field instead of drawing them. Okay, let me just quickly okay, so he basically just keep destroying himself, and then yeah. So I decided to destroy one of his card, which allows him to destroy one of my card. Yeah. So I decided to just get rid of it. So with 1 Dark Room, it's actually already very painful. So let's see how I did this. Okay, so Light Stage has one more effect, is you can target one of your opponent's set card, and then they can't activate it. They will only be able to activate it during the end turn after that. So normal summon Lycoris, Kanina. Kanina was searched from my festival because I won that 2 token. So I summon out 2 token, and then the first thing you need is actually your Holy Angel. This is your main card. Yeah. So this combo actually works only if your opponent doesn't destroy anything. Yeah. So first, I special summon Trickstar Bloom. So every time when a monster is special summoned to your Zing Zone, you deal 200. And then because this deal 200, your Light Stage deals 200. and then because both of them are considered effect damage, your Dark Rune will trigger twice. Yeah. So Narkis is every time you deal an effect damage to your opponent, you can special summon it onto the field. So what I did is I special summon, and then because it's summoned onto the pointer, it burns 200 again, and then light stage burn another 200. Which during the next chain, your Dark Rune will trigger again. So let me just fast forward a bit. Yeah, so it trigger again, and when it resolves, it will burn 300 and 300. Yep, that's how mainly the deck works. So if you continue, I will special summon again onto the pointer. So this thing will 200, 200, and then Dark Rune will trigger 200, 200 again. Yeah, so it's a lot of recovery, like just burn, and then because I do not have enough monsters to special summon, I need to activate another few spell to special summon a token. So now without the light stage, I actually burn a little bit lesser. I would say half lesser. Like instead of 500, I burn like instead of 1000, I burn like 500 for each special summon. But that's the only way I can continue combo. Yeah. So with one token, I link this again so that I can special summon another card to burn another 500. Yeah. So this is a little bit more straightforward. It's every summon 500. Yeah. And then I link again for Foxglove. Foxglove itself will burn as well, but special summon I will burn. And then Dark Rune will burn another 500. And then Foxglove will burn 200 for each of the card they control, which is 4 of them, which is 800 damage. Yep, and because Foxglove burn, and the Dark Rune will trigger again, so that's another 300 damage. Yeah. So if you think that I have no more monster, that this field card actually can sum up one more token. Yeah. So this is the time when I should have played another Link 1 Trickstar so I can actually summon out again. Because I do not have that, I have to just straight away link it away. But if I have, I could have actually linked 1 to it. Yeah. Then with Madonna itself, I burn 200 for each Trickstar monster in the graveyard, which I have quite a bit here. Yeah. And at this point in time, he did something, I'm not sure why. And I'm not really that familiar. I thought that he will be able to use his effect to link summon away my stuff, but he didn't. Yeah. So this card itself will burn 200 for it. So I burn 1000, and then Dark Rune itself will burn another 300. So if actually I have one more Link 1 Trickstar monster, I will be able to burn finish his life point. So he actually only has 100 left. Yeah, so if you can see, right, this deck actually just mainly focusing on burning and burning and burning. There's not much like negation or interaction from this deck. Yeah, it's really more for the fun of like burning, and if you really don't like want to try something different, I think this deck is pretty fun. Yeah, it's just a deck that I was thinking of dismantling, but overall I feel that it's still quite fun for me to keep it around, and the number of UI is not that much. Okay, I think it's still okay. It's 3 Kanina, 1 Light Stage, and 1 Holy Angel. Usually people play 2 Holy Angel, but I just play 1, although I have 3 of them. Yeah. So what I'll do in this deck, I'll actually take out maybe 1 Borrow Load and 1 more Trickstar Bloom. Yeah, I see the reason why some players play 2 of them now. It's pretty useful. Yeah. So yeah, let me know what you think of this deck. Is this something that you think is worth crafting it just to have that little bit of fun, or you'll totally skip this because it's not even competitive? And yeah, if you are enjoying the content so far, do remember to like, subscribe, and comment down below on what's the next deck list that you would like to see. And if I do not usually play that deck, I will actually invite someone that's more familiar with the deck to explain on how that deck is played. Yeah. So hope you guys have a great time here. Okay, I don't know if that's the right ending, but I hope to see you guys in the next video.